Flicking and tracking go hand in hand. Tracking always starts with you flicking your crosshair onto the target. The faster you can do this accurately, the better your chances at winning the duel. Similarly, when you flick, you track the target with your eyes and guess where they will be a tiny bit later to line up your shot. The main focus of this video is tracking, but some aspects can help with flicking as well. Try thinking about the following when tracking, as this might help you focus on the target and its movement, rather than on your crosshair. After you have your crosshair on the target, try to mimic their movement like you're drawing out their movement path on your mousepad. Another way to think about it is look at your whole screen as a camera that's following your enemy around, like when you're spectating someone in a custom game. You could also try doing this while keeping your eyes locked onto the target. When you want to make sudden large movements, you tense your arm to do it fast and accurately. When you want to smoothly track something, you want to relax your arm and not to death grip your mouse. From the previous sections, you know tracking always starts with you flicking onto the target. The faster you can transition between tensing and relaxing, the better. The first thing you need to learn is to compensate for your own movement. When you move left, you start to turn right and vice versa. You need to get this down to such a degree that you can juke and still be on target at the same time. This becomes automatic with practice. I also use it to calibrate my aim before a match starts. Falling, like this Ashe, or this Genji, Anas usually try to sleep Genjis when they're falling. Jumping around like this Soldier. Jumping makes it easier for you to track targets, but you become very predictable as well. Climbing up walls, or moving in a straight line are all very predictable, and you should learn to smoothly track these movements. In addition to this, characters that have movement abilities usually lock them in predictable animations as well. The fastest way to learn these ability animations is to play AIM Arena. I will leave a code in the description, or you could join one already in progress. AIM trainers are another way to improve your aim, and the most popular two are Aim Labs and Coax. But if you already have decent aim, playing the game is more helpful. If you strafe with the target, you don't have to move your mouse. They don't have to move their mouse either, so make sure you're not being shot at. If you move in opposing directions, you start rotating around each other. When I flick onto a target, I use my movement keys to aim for a tiny amount, while I relax my arm to then smoothly track. The most difficult thing to do is to track a target that's actively juking you. This is because there's no momentum in Overwatch, and you can move in the opposite direction at full speed almost instantly. The speed at which you react to this change in direction and how long it takes you to get back on target determines how good your aim correction is. You want to put your crosshair on the side opposite to its movement so you stay on target longer if they decide to juke you. You can also use a target's movement animations to determine how they'll move next. Reducing input lag helps you react faster to changes in an opponent's movement. Leave your frame rate on custom, capped at 300 frames if you can. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can set your low latency mode to ultra as shown to reduce input lag further. If you experience stutter when you have this enabled on ultra, you could try setting it to on and see if it works for you. AMD has a similar setting in their control panel, and I have linked a guide on how to enable it in this video's description. Wrist aiming and arm aiming is all of personal preference. People say wrist aiming is better for tracking as you react faster than with your arm, but you can use your wrist when arm aiming as well. I use my wrist for finer movements and my arm for larger ones. I believe most arm aimers aim this way. Although I cannot suggest a sensitivity range, I can tell you how I determine my sensitivity. I use the highest sensitivity with which I can smoothly track a target. A tracer is close ranged and thus can smoothly track with much higher sensitivities, while a soldier would need a lower sense to smoothly track from far away. The lowest and highest sensitivities I got were not very far off, so I just used their average. If the sensitivities you get differ a lot, I would suggest sticking to different sensitivities. On the hardware side, going from a 60Hz monitor to a 120Hz or above will give you the biggest improvement. When going for a high refresh rate monitor, make sure they have low response times, and if possible, motion blur reduction technologies, or G-Sync. Motion blur reduction improved my tracking so much so that I preferred 120Hz with motion blur reduction over 165Hz without it. That being said, everyone is different, and when purchasing a monitor, focus on the other qualities you want first. A lighter mouse helps you make more micro adjustments at the cost of less stability. Similarly, a faster mousepad will help you react faster, but won't give you enough stopping power, making it harder to have that locked-on effect. Do your research and pick what you think will fit you best. Only consider experimenting with different mice and mousepads once you think you've reached a roadblock in your tracking improvement, as the results you get might vary. If you find it more difficult to make vertical movements with a low sense, try to set higher such that your arm is slightly raised off the table. For a shaky aim, try increasing your sense for a short warm-up and then decreasing it. Your aim will feel more stable after you change back to your usual sense. The improvements you make in your aim will stick regardless of change in sensitivity or gear. Feel free to experiment around and do not worry too much about trying to get everything the same way every time. A person with good aim will have it regardless of gear or sensitivity. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below.